episode 0 of the Black and White Thinking podcast. My name is Chikumo, everyone calls me Chick, and this is Gareth, and according to our socials and my life, you are also called G. Right, so we'll get straight into it. The whole point of this episode is to introduce us, the podcast, what we'll be talking about, why we want to do it, and what you can expect, I guess. So I'll start with introducing myself and telling you a bit about me. So like I said, my name is Chikumo. I'm a marketing consultant. I own CF Marketing, which is an agency, and I specialise in content creation. Huge foodie. That's me. Go on.
So my name's Gareth Whiteside, and I work just a regular job. Not really my passion, which my passions are really music and food and art and that sort of stuff, mostly creative things. And that's about it really, isn't it? In a nutshell.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so actually, tell us an interesting fact about yourself. A reason why people might want to be intrigued by us, by you, by the podcast.
I've got a psychology degree. I am a music producer sometimes, and a former elite athlete.
I'm just going to keep that moving on. An interesting fact about me. Why am I stuck for this now? I guess, like I said, I'm a huge foodie in general, but I focus on personal branding and showing people online what an authentic life looks like whilst you're trying to figure everything out. And I think what will make what we do special is the fact that I don't think many people do what we do, but I do think a lot of people are trying to figure out life the way that we are. So I guess where I think we're interested in, why I think people should tune in, is because even when we're being lighthearted and whatever else, I think we're going to have some very interesting conversations. Okay, so introduce the idea of black and white thinking. Where did the name come from? What made you want to start this podcast?
Well, I mean, why I thought it would be nice to start the podcast is because I've done bits and pieces with you on your podcast, but I thought it would be nice to have a podcast of our own.
Yeah.
And just try and have a bit of fun, a bit of crack with it. The name Black and White Thinking comes from like a term in the psychology, mental health field, where people with depression, anxiety, things like that, think in very polarised terms without any room for a grey area. And obviously you're black and I'm white, so it fitted with that term.
What?
But I suppose we probably will discuss the grey areas.
Yeah.
But ultimately come down on either side for or against something.
Yeah. Okay, great. I guess a part of that as well is we have grown up in very different cultures, very different environments, have experienced very different things. So I think what interests me about doing this and doing this with you is the fact that it's a little insight into our life and some of the conversations we have, but also from the sense that we are two people that don't have to agree, don't always agree, but it doesn't mean that we can't talk about things without respecting each other and hearing each other out. And I think that that's something that we do quite well. Like, we have our movie reviews that we do on our socials. 99% of the time we don't agree. But
you pick terrible movies.
I do not pick terrible movies. Yeah. You do tell me I pick terrible movies, but I think I pick some great movies because I know exactly what I like. But I do think you pick some decent ones, and we have recently started to agree on some. Why are you laughing?
Decent ones?
I do think you pick some decent ones, yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that everything you pick is amazing, because some of them have not been amazing. But I guess that's, again, this goes back to black and white thinking. This is that whole journey of how we're going to pick where do we see things, because at the end of the day we watch a lot of movies are an example, but we watch a lot of movies, and if we didn't agree or we did agree or however it was, if it was negative, we wouldn't keep watching them, would we? So let's have some conversations. Sometimes I suppose even people aren't willing to have, but in a, as you say it, a fun and light-hearted way. Nice. Okay, so I guess the next stage would be, what's this schedule going to be like? And I've made that decision, really. And I've made that decision just because this is something that the CF marketing team will be handling, and we've already got my podcast, so I've suggested doing it bi-weekly to start with until we get used to this.
You mean fortnightly?
Which is bi-weekly?
Maybe twice a week.
But bi-weekly is every other week.
Okay. So every fortnight?
However you want to put it. Every
Okay.
2 weeks is when we're going to do this. An episode's going to come out. But ultimately, there'll be something every week because it'll either be my podcast or our podcast. And then if we get into a routine and things are going well and we're really enjoying it, then we will take it up a notch and we'll do it every week. Yeah. What are the episodes going to look like, I guess? Like, you've already touched on this a little bit, that we're going to have a topic and so on, but
it could be more than one.
Yeah, it could be more than one. But the idea so far is we're going to choose a topic, and in that topic we are going to argue the arguments for and against, and by the end of it we have to pick one side. Yeah. And then if we do have time, depending on how much time we do have, we can pick another topic, or we will get some kind of question, whether it's Reddit, whether it's someone that's messaged in, someone's got some advice that they need, so things like relationship advice, movie advice, some kind of advice, and then we can sit, and again, because the format will still be the same, we're presented with something, we decide one way or another, and we talk about why we're deciding that. But I'm ultimately suggesting doing one topic and then something like a question at the end if we've got time, because I've said to you from my experience, and we've already got an idea of the topics that we are going to have, we could easily talk about a few topics in one. So we are going to have to, I want this to be a thought out conversation, not just 5 minutes when we've made a decision, but also, in the topics that we do have, we could do 4 or 5 topics in one episode, which isn't going to leave us with a lot. So for me, obviously you've talked about like having a psychology degree and wanting to do black and white thinking for whatever, but for my mental health, I don't want to sit and think about lots of extra topics if my mind doesn't need to think about that. And that's why I like the idea of one topic an episode.
Okay.
Versus you might decide that you want to think about some extra topics and we can bring them in.
Alright.
Okay, great. So the episodes will come out on Thursdays. If it changes, we'll let you know. But yeah, every 2 weeks on a Thursday. Do you want to give an idea of some of the topics that we're going to cover?
I honestly, I'm drawing a blank other than what we thought might be the first one.
So what's the first one then?
Brown versus white. Bread.
Long pause for a reason. Okay, brown versus white.
Just as an example.
Bread.
Yeah,
as an example. Yeah. We've also talked about things like bride price. Do you know what? One of the things we actually, like the elephant in the room, we've talked about being black and white. I was born in Zambia.
Who's better?
I think we both think who's better. From food to people. You're lucky actually because you're Irish. So I was born in Zambia. You were born in Northern Ireland. You have lived here most of your life.
Yeah. I
grew up in England and then moved to Northern Ireland. So I guess a massive part of where these conversations are going to sometimes take us, because we've got Zambian food, bride price, United Ireland, marriage, traditions, love languages, gender roles, all that type of stuff. Like, these are just some of the topics that we already said that we want to cover. But a lot of that's going to come from the fact, like I said, you are Irish, I am Zambian. Depending on who asks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a conversation a massive conversation on its own.
That could be a topic. Are you English or Zambian?
I guess so. English or Zambian, and that'll.
Because you'll have to pick.
No. Or am I Irish?
No.
Why can't I be Irish? Excuse you. Wild. But yeah, I think that's what will make this interesting as well, because we're not just coming through this from the lens of we are two very similar people that have grown up in the same place, or we are two different people that have grown up in the same place. My culture's different. You've had an experience of my culture. You've been brought in to my culture, and I think that even from like your point of view, that'll be an interesting side of what we are talking about. Okay, great. Is there anything else you want to say before we leave these good people?
I don't think so. I think that's a pretty succinct introduction.
Yeah. So you're going to be able to find us on all the normal podcast streaming services. YouTube.
OnlyFans, The Hub.
No, not OnlyFans. Although, do you know what? Like, we've been watching comedians that are doing stuff on there because they'll swear or talk about...
on there.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Not doing that, though.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like, we shouldn't be hating on OnlyFans because it's branching out to more than just naked people and people doing weird things.
It's not weird.
Well, people do some weird things on there.
It's not weird.
Depending on who you
They're
are.
just doing things.
Okay. Oh, there's a knock at the door.
There's the door.
Alright, there's the door. So, yeah. Great. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, do whatever you always will be asked to do, like the like and subscribe and commenting. And yeah, we'll see you. Peace.